Absolutely, sir. I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking further developments. We do know now trade tensions between China and the United States might be easing, but on the military front, it seems that tensions are simmering. China's Defense Minister Dong Jun has emphasized the need for global unity, warning that the world is increasingly being divided by quote-unquote the rule of the jungle. Now, addressing the Beijing Xiangshan Forum on security, he has decried the following.
需要我们警惕的是，盲目的强调这个急，在军事实力上的绝对优势，信奉实力就等于权力，必然导致一个无序的多极化、丛林的多极化。某些域外国家所谓的航行自由，个别声索国所谓的国际中台，公然挑战国际关系的基本准则。中国依法维护领土主权和海洋权益，正是对战后秩序和国际法治的坚定捍卫。
These remarks come amid simmering tensions between China and the US as well as its allies over several flashpoints across East Asia and the South China Sea as well. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Andrew K.P. Leung. Interesting statements coming in from the Chinese Defense Minister. He has stated that the might is right approach is leading to a divided world which is led by the rule of the jungle. He's pointed to what he calls disorder, particularly in the South China Sea. We do see that several experts recently have suggested that China is preparing to invade Taiwan. Do you concur with these experts? All right, there seems to be a network issue with Mr. Leung's connection, sir. I hope you can hear me clearly. I was pointing towards the statements that were being made by the Chinese Defense Minister. He has indirectly, in a veiled jibe against the United States, stated that the might is right approach is leading to a divided world. He's pointed towards what he calls disorder in the South China Sea. We've recently seen several experts pointing to the increased militarization by China, whether it's the airstrips they are in fact constructing, fresh islands they're building as well. They're suggesting that China is preparing to invade Taiwan. Do you concur with these experts and the assessment that has been made by them?
Well, I don't think that China is about to invade Taiwan anytime soon. But nevertheless, President Xi has repeatedly expressed China's intention to achieve unification with Taiwan at the latest by 2049, which is still some years ahead, which is, of course, is the 100th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. But in spite of that deadline, 2049, China's intention has been encapsulated in 3 white papers on Taiwan. The latest was issued to coincide with Nancy Pelosi's provocative visit to Taiwan. And all the 3 white papers issued over the past 10 years or so reaffirm China's intention for peaceful unification as the 2 countries, the peoples, the same civilization, same language, and then the economies are increasingly intertwined. The peoples on both sides are wishing each other. And so the momentum has been built up along, of course, with diplomatic, geopolitical, and military kind of coercion, if you like, to move the Taiwan towards the negotiation table for a peaceful unification. and giving Taiwan a high degree of autonomy, even more generous than applied to the reunification of Taiwan to Hong Kong and Macau, for example. So I think that this reading that Beijing is about to invade Taiwan anytime soon is totally misplaced, because the Taiwan Strait is a huge barrier. And then I don't think that Beijing would take the risk. But in spite of that, Beijing sees Taiwan as in sovereignty, as in the case of the South China Sea, because the South China Sea is a major a sea lane of communication on which China's economy and economic survival, if you like, depends, because a lot of the trade, a lot of the import of raw materials and energy passes through the South China Sea. And then, of course, in the South China Sea is surrounded by American military assets. The first one is called the First Island Chain Center in Okinawa, the Second Island Chain Center in Guam, along with Americans' allies like Japan and to a certain extent South Korea in the north, and then in the south with the Philippines and also the Quad with Australia and India. So China feels naturally threatened. And then this freedom of navigation along the South China Sea, Beijing sees it as a kind of provocation. In the same way as China is not about to send its navy to patrol the shores along California, for example. So I think that the so-called China threat, China is not about to invade other countries, unlike the Americans' recent exertion of its military power by bombing Iran and so on, and perhaps watching with folded arms to see Israel bombing or sending its air bombers to Qatar. And so I think that this rhetoric about the China threat is twisted, is misplaced. What China wants is a peaceful world so that they can grow this economy. But of course, in the process, China would become much stronger. And of course, Americans see that this threatens Americans' hegemony and Americans' dominance. And hence you can see that the United States is using all the levers under its arsenal to confront China and also continue with the rhetoric that China is a demon empire with the intention to conquer the world. But this is far from the truth.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you for taking our time, sharing your perspective.